Change Blindness Susceptibility, a Predictor of Lineup Reliability by Christopher Kunze. Eyewitness testimony has widely been trusted, yet it's one of the leading causes of wrongful conviction. Stress, limited attention, and other external factors reduce what witnesses accurately encode during a crime. This study reviews research on perceptual limits and memory contamination to examine why misidentification occurs. We investigate eyewitness ability to identify perpetrators and predict that both change blindness and inattentional blindness will reduce accuracy in a lineup. Some background information, firstly about the Innocence Project. They are a nonprofit organization that have been advocating against the use of eyewitness testimonies in court due to their extreme unreliability. With their work, they've been able to exonerate 250 people, and they claim that 63% of them were incarcerated due to faulty eyewitness testimony. Next is the confidence accuracy characteristic, which was first introduced by Mix 2015. It's a method for plotting accuracy and confidence against each other to see how they would correlate. So the higher the confidence, the higher the accuracy. Many people in the justice system tend to equate high confidence with high accuracy, which is why we see so many people wrongfully convicted. And many studies say that initial confidence or recall should be considered the most reliable identifier, as it's the one that is least contaminated. Next is eyewitness identification accuracy. Identification issues can stem from repeated police procedures. Typical police procedures involve repeated waves of questioning and lineup identification, which can contaminate memory each time they are repeated, as mentioned before. Initial assertions are what should be considered. Repeated lineup should not be provided. Change blindness. It occurs when people fail to notice that some aspect of a scene or event has changed during a brief disruption. Change blindness and inattentional blindness are strongly linked to our perceptual capacity, and the level of attention was found to be a significant predictor in accurate identification. Eyewitness testimony is often treated as highly accurate, yet it remains the leading cause of wrongful conviction. Memory can be distorted by stress, limited attention, and police procedures. Change blindness, which is failing to notice a visual change during a brief interruption, occurs because our perceptual capacity is limited. Under high perceptual load, witnesses focus only on a few details, which reduces their ability to identify a perpetrator. Eyewitness memory is also vulnerable to contamination, especially through repeated or suggestive questioning and multiple lineups. Research shows that initial identification and confidence levels are the most predictive of accuracy, though real-world procedures often compromise this. The present study examines how change blindness affects lineup accuracy. We predict that individuals experiencing these biases will show poor perpetrator identification and weaker confidence accuracy relationships. During data collection, scholarly sources such as Google Scholar and Psych articles were used. We excluded literature reviews, experiments with no lineups, and target absent conditions, as we were looking for only target present conditions. Search terms we used to find the articles were eyewitness memory, accuracy, target present, testimony, identification, confidence, and for the subtopic, change blindness and crime blindness were used to select the articles. Studies selected had to include both change blindness and eyewitness memory. They could not be either or. Articles included the participants watching a video while experiencing external factors that could hinder or diminish their memory. During the data collection, we reviewed 70 articles and 196 experimental conditions were recorded in Google spreadsheets. We calculated the chance identification rate, which is the accuracy at which people were able to correctly identify the target, and the control group accuracy as a class. This was for the Wolf and Hyman and the Linus studies. CIC curves were generated by plotting the suspect identification accuracy for each level of confidence following the procedures of Mix 2015. Five articles were then selected to explore the change blindness effect on eyewitness memory. These articles were Salmon and Bogue, Green, Murphy, and Januszewski, Nelson et al., Davies and Hines, and Chabris, Weinberger, Fontaine, and Simmons. Chance ID and control ID were calculated by dividing the number of people who selected a condition, whether it was not confident, slightly confident, moderately confident, or very confident, by the number of correct detections, and then dividing this number by the number of people who selected that condition. The Wolfenheimen 2022 study had two experiments. The first experiment had participants watch a video while being randomly selected to count t-shirts and to identify the perpetrator. In the second experiment, same procedures were replicated, except now there would be a t-shirt memory test, and there would be three separate lineups. In this study, it highlighted that when people are focused on unrelated tasks, they fail to witness a crime occurring. The Linus 2024 study replicated the Wolfenheimen 2022 study. Experiment 1 yielded similar results, but Experiment 2 yielded a 58% control eyewitness identification rate, which means that even in the best condition, 58% of people can pick out the perpetrator. Results of the eyewitness identification accuracy across all articles show that people are better than chance would predict at identifying a perpetrator. Although even in the best possible conditions, they're 58% correct, it shows that even under the best possible conditions, many factors still can affect memory and identification. And for identification accuracy while experiencing change blindness, it showed that the chance ID rate was significantly higher than chance ID and eyewitness identification accuracy. This study shows that people can be better than what chance would predict at identifying perpetrators, and it highlights that when focused on unrelated tasks, it causes a significant hindrance, as well as being under high perceptual load. These results should be highly considered for criminal investigations, high-stress events, or visually distracting events, and limitations of this study included simulated scenarios. Interpretations of findings may vary across researchers, and each study employed different methods of testing identification, which may influence the results.